Hello everyone. This is a passage taken from CAT 2016. I want you to try this passage on your own. I hope that the entire passage followed by the question number 1 is visible, right? You can pause this video, read the passage carefully, right? Take as much time as possible and solve the question. In fact, I'll show you all the 3 questions in slides, right? And you can stop the video at that time and attempt the questions on your own. All right, I hope you have attempted all the 3 questions, one after another. Now, I would like to explain to you how this passage should have been read. What should be the approach when it comes to reading the passage so that you can quickly go to the crux of the passage. Now, if you look at here, this passage begins with saying that India's services revolution has dazzled business. So, dazzled business in the rich world, turning Indian companies into global companies, so global competitors. So it's a positive statement about India's services. So the focus is on services. After that, there is a word yet. Now, whenever there are words such as yet, but, however, etc., right, we need to be careful because there is a shift in the point as far as that particular paragraph is concerned. So this particular paragraph says that yet economists have been clinging to the received wisdom, and after that received wisdom there is here colon. And what is the meaning of this colon? The next statement tells us what that received wisdom is. So whenever there is a colon, so what is written before the colon and what is written after the colon, there is a connection, right? In fact, what is written after the colon is the elaboration of what is written before the colon. So if before the colon there is A and after the colon there is B, then B is the explanation of A. They are interrelated. So what is the received wisdom? Modernization runs from agriculture through manufacturing and only later to service. So this is what is the received wisdom, the wisdom that economists have received for ages, and they are clinging. Clinging means sticking. They are sticking to this particular wisdom. And what is that wisdom? This wisdom is talking about the change. So how modernization takes place. M is modernization. So how modernization takes place? First happens agriculture, then manufacturing, and then only later services. So first happens agriculture, then happens manufacturing, and then services, right? So this is what is the chain. So services will not happen until agri and manufacturing happen in the country. To have modernization, you need to develop in this particular linear way: agriculture followed by manufacturing and only then services. This is what is the received wisdom economists are sticking to. Now, the next paragraph is about this conventional path. This conventional path has been explained. This conventional path has been further explained in this paragraph. So you have to rapidly read these 2 paragraphs, and you have to come to this 4th paragraph, because in the 4th paragraph there is a but. And as I have told you, that words such as but, yet, however, even, then, on the other hand, on the contrary, these words or phrases are very important in the paragraph because they tell you some shift. So which means that the author is now shifting from conventional path to some other path. Now what he says in this 4th paragraph, that conventional wisdom is now under fire. So this particular conventional wisdom is under fire, which means that it is being attacked. Conventional wisdom is being attacked. The author says technology and outsourcing are enabling services to overcome their former handicaps. So services had some limitations. services had some limitations, and technology and outsourcing are making those services, overcome those limitations. Now, the author says traditional services such as trade, hotels, restaurants, and public administration remain largely bound, which means restricted by the old constraints. Constraints mean limitations. So, traditional services had limitations, but modern services. So, the focus of the author is on modern services, right? I have told you whenever there is a but yet, however, on the other hand, on the contrary, even then, yet, whenever you have such words, then there is always a shift in the focus. So the focus is shifting from traditional services to modern services. So modern services such as software development, call centers, outsourced business processes use skilled labors. Right? Now here the author gives some examples of outsourced business processes, insurance claims to transcribing medical records. Right, so what they do, they use skilled workers, exploit economies of scale. Economies of scale is a concept in economics which means being large. And these modern services can be exported. You can export modern services. You can export software. In other words, they are just like manufacturing. They are just like manufacturing. And if this is the case, this is very important part of this passage. If this is the case means if such modern services are available, then poor countries should be able to go straight from agriculture to services, leapfrogging manufacturing, which means bypassing manufacturing. So this particular received wisdom has been attacked. You can directly go from agriculture to services without going or developing manufacturing, straight away from agriculture to services when it is possible if you have modern services. So I write here, if you have modern services. So this is very important. This is the case, this if is very important, which means that for this can happen, but this is conditional. It cannot happen in any poor country. Those poor countries which have these modern services, they can go directly from agriculture to services. Now let us look at question number 1, which is appearing on the screen here. Question number 1, which of the following is the least possible example? Read the question carefully. Least possible example of the service sector that the author has focused on. Now the author has focused on modern services which can be exported, which can go large and which use skilled labors, right? Author is focusing on modern services. And the question is, which is the least possible example? So in short, which cannot be the example of modern services? Now, on-demand cab transportation services through app, this uses technology. This can be exported, right? Once you make an app, that can be used in many other countries. So this, in fact, a suitable example of modern services. KPO, business process outsourcing, or KPO, in fact, the author talks about that. It is an example of modern services. Medical transcription, clearly given here. Transcribing medical records, that is an example of modern services. So medical transcription is an example of modern services. The answer of this question is option C, private hospitals. Now hospitals, cannot be really exported that easily. So this is the least possible example of the service sector that author has focused on, the modern services. So C is the least possible example of modern services. Therefore, the answer of question number 1 is option C. Alright, now let me explain to you the answer of question number 2. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? An inference question is generally a time-consuming question. Should be done after solving all other specific questions. But many times you have many of inference questions in the exam, so you cannot completely avoid them. Now, so you have to use a little bit of logic when it comes to solving such questions. And of course, sometimes you do have to do the hard work. Now, if you read the crux of the passage very clearly, which is written here, that if the poor countries have modern services, if this is the case, then they can straight go from agriculture to services. This part we have already seen when we have discussed the previous question, number 1. Now, on that basis, you can eliminate option C, because option C says poor countries should go straight from agriculture to services. But poor countries, yes, they can go if this is the case. So this condition, this particular condition is missing in this option C. So option C should have been like this. Those poor countries which have modern services or which have developed modern services, they can go straight from agriculture to services. So C is incomplete, right? C is incomplete. It cannot be inferred. So option C is eliminated. India's manufacturing sector suffers from the inefficient labor. Suffers from inefficient labor. This is not even discussed in the passage that India has inefficient labor, therefore manufacturing sector has not grown. Any such discussion is completely absent. So something that is absent in the passage originally, okay, cannot be inferred from the passage. So option D is eliminated. Now look at option A. Option A, services are a graveyard for productivity, says conventional theory. This particular statement is nearly given in this paragraph at the beginning of this. It is given services, in contrast, appear to be graveyards. So the most important word here is appear. Appear suggests that the author is saying something which is probable. So be careful words such as likely, etc. Likely, would, could, probably, may, maybe, right? So the author is probable, but the option makes it definite. R is definite. So when I say I'm likely to come, and if I say I will come, there's a difference. If I say this appears to be the case, this seems to be the case, and if you say this is the case, then you are making it definite. If I say they appear to come, and if you say they are coming, so R is making it definite. So author is probable, but the option A makes it definite and strong. And when the given statement is probable, likely, may, maybe, then don't choose the option that makes it strong or definite. So option A is eliminated. So A is eliminated, C is eliminated, D is eliminated. What is left is option B. So B should be the answer of this question. B should be the answer of the question. Now here, where is it given here? This particular inference can be drawn from this particular paragraph, right? This is the part of the conventional wisdom, right? So what the author says, that people consume more services not when technological advance lowers the prices. So when prices come down, people don't consume more services. And there is a but here. So when they consume more services, when they have reached a level of affluence means being wealthy. So when people have more money in their hand, then they consume more services. When you drop the price of services, they don't consume more services. When they become wealthy, right, they consume more services, right? So that is what is written in the in this option B. For the growth of service sector, according to the conventional theory, the lower cost of services are not responsible as much as a certain level of prosperity necessary to buy them. So what is responsible? Prosperity. Prosperity is affluence. This is responsible. Lower cost of services is not responsible for the growth of service sector. This is what is according to the conventional theory. So B is the right answer because B is the correct inference of this particular part which is given in the third paragraph. Okay, now let us see this question number 3. Based on the passage, which one of the following can be true? Alright, now let us look at the last option. You always start with options which are short. Now D option, India is no longer a poor nation. Now this is a typical extreme option. This is typical extreme option. No longer a poor nation. So it is not a poor nation at all. It has become a rich nation. Now nowhere in the passage it says that it is no longer a poor nation. Certainly the passage says that countries like India have developed service sector. So they have jumped from agriculture to services, right? So that is what is given. But that does not mean that the author says that India is now a rich nation, India is no longer a poor nation. So this is an extreme inference or conclusion. So be careful of extreme options. They are generally not the correct inferences. Now let us see option the B option. Engineers educated in America were the founders of Indian IT. Now here there is a catch. because option, this particular sentence, okay, is given in this particular paragraph, last line of the passage. India's leading software exporters were founded by engineers educated in America who had returned home. This is very important. So simply educated in America is not enough. Educated in America and they had returned home. They need to come back to India to develop software exports. Software exports. So option B says only engineers educated. This does not say that they return India. This is not said in the option B. So option B can be misleading. This particular inference can be misleading. So this cannot be held true. So option B is eliminated. Now let us look at option A and C. Let us first look at option C. In India, service sector grew without the government's protection. Now nowhere in the passage it is mentioned that the government made an effort to protect the service sector or did not make an effort in the service sector, right? So this particular C cannot be inferred. So C is not the answer either, right? So without government's protection, India's sector grew. This is not given anywhere in the passage. Though it is written in the passage that modern services are arguably less vulnerable to protectionism, right? So they are less vulnerable means modern services don't have much danger. Vulnerable means big dangerous, less dangerous, which means that modern services don't have much danger from protectionism. So protectionism cannot hurt modern services. That's all what is written here, right? But nowhere in the passage it is written here that in India's service sector developed without the government's protection. So this cannot be held to or this cannot be inferred. So option C is eliminated. Now let us look at option A. In India, instead of being the product of development, service sector has become the cause of development. That is what is correct, because what is written in the passage that underlining their role as an engine for rather than product development. So there means role of modern services, because the word there here it is referring to services. In India, in poor countries as a whole, including India, etc., services have contributed more to growth, and they have played a role engine for development, which means they have caused development. They are not the product of development. Rather than, which means they are not the product of development. In fact, they have caused development. So A can be definitely inferred from this particular part of the paragraph. So the answer of question number 3 is option A.